Well, hello and welcome to this week's news from Lanzarote. And as you can see from the background, we're back home on the beautiful island on a gorgeous Saturday morning. We shot last week's video in a hotel in Fort Lauderdale in Florida, and we got home last night after a fairly epic 20-hour journey from Miami to Madrid and then back home to the island. It was 20 hours from hotel room to walking through our front door, but it's good to be back. Now don't forget to stay tuned until the end of this video, because at the end of giving you this week's news from Lanzarote, I will also give you 3 things I think you should be doing if you're on the island next week, and there are some crackers this week. But let's start off with the very sad and tragic top news story here in Spain from this week, and that of course concerns the floods in Valencia. So what happened in Valencia? The answer is that the hills around the city had basically a year's worth of rainfall in a relatively short time period, and storm after storm dumped loads and loads of water on those hills. Now, there is a barranco system and there's also a dried riverbed that runs through the city that normally take care of any heavy rain very comfortably and wash it straight out to sea. But because this was so intense and in such a compacted period, it overwhelmed those barrancos, it overwhelmed the rivers which burst their banks and resulted in a flash flood which ran through large parts of the city of Valencia, taking with it trees, cars and basically anything in its way. It really is a tragedy on a massive scale. As I sit here this morning, more than 200 people have died, which makes it the most deadly flood event in mainland Europe for centuries. Now, all of Spain, as you can imagine, is in mourning. The people of Valencia are working very hard to try and repair roads and recover damaged buildings and cars and kind of fix up the place. And we have friends in Valencia who have walked from where they live, which is a relatively untouched area, and they've walked rather than driven because the roads are not accessible to the place where the worst of the flooding was, and they are literally just helping dig the mud out and move cars and help anybody that they can in that area. All the flags throughout Spain have been at half-mast in tribute to the people who have died. The Canary Islands have quite a strong relationship with Valencia. A lot of the people who originally colonized the islands came from Andalusia and the community of Valencia. We share an accent with them because of that, and obviously lots of people on the islands have family over there. So Lanzarote has been in mourning for 3 days. A lot of the events planned over Halloween were cancelled, and lots of other outdoor kind of what would normally be termed fun events have been cancelled to give everyone a chance to mourn for their lost relatives, friends and compatriots in Valencia. So obviously, first of all in this news bulletin, our thoughts are very much with them, and we hope the cleanup goes well and we hope they don't get any more heavy rain in the next few days. Now let's move on to more normal news for this bulletin. I was astonished to learn that we will have an average of 200 flights a week into Lanzarote from the UK through the winter months. Now we know the UK market has been growing significantly in terms of tourism to Lanzarote, but it's actually 193, the figure, flights coming in from the UK. Still absolutely astonished me. The top 3 providers of those flights are Jet2, which will have an average of 68 flights through the winter. Second place, Ryanair with 52, and third place, EasyJet with 59. And the balance, of course, is made up with TUI and BA and a couple of other smaller airlines. The reason I'm so astonished is that we moved here almost 25 years ago. And when we came here, I think from memory, there were about 5 or 6 flights a week to and from the UK. And they all happened either on a Thursday or a Sunday from memory. So you were really limited in your choice to as to where you wanted to go to in the UK and what days you can travel. Now you can travel any day of the week and you can get to pretty much any part of the UK from Lanzarote. So an amazing figure that. Now let's talk about the sports centre in Playa Blanca. This is the big new sports centre that looks like construction finished on it ages and ages ago. It's next to the bus station there. It has a nice swimming pool and sports courts and gymnasium and all that kind of stuff. And loads of people have been saying, you know, what's going on? Why isn't it open yet? Well, the story is that the contractor who Yaitse Ayuntamiento contracted to build it actually went bust. They went into receivership at the point where that was 95% completed. So it's not quite finished is the simple answer to why it hasn't opened. The difficulty now, or since then, has been that Yaitse Town Hall have wanted to take control of the building, but of course the contract isn't finished, so it's quite difficult for them to do so. It looks like, fingers crossed, they've now come to a deal with the receivers where they will accept the building in its current state, i.e. 95% completed, and they've taken on to complete the rest of the 5%, which largely involves kind of cleaning up and tidying up and getting everything working. They'll pay those costs themselves, and then they will actually employ a team of people to go in and run it at least for the first 2 years. So that deal looks very close to being done. Hopefully that will happen in the next few weeks, and then they'll have a period of a couple of months, I guess, where they're cleaning the place up and getting it up and ready for opening. But they've already, I haven't seen the prices yet, but they've already set the entry prices, so it sounds like they're pretty confident that it's going to be opening in the next few months. So like I say, fingers crossed on that one. Poor old UD Lanzarote. My goodness, what a game they had. To give you the background to it, UD Lanzarote failed to win promotion to the next division last season. But the benefit of that, if there is a benefit, is that they managed to secure a place in the Copa del Rey, which is the kind of Spanish equivalent to the UK's FA Cup. And the first round match was held this week. They were playing a side called Racing de Santander, who are in the second division. So, you know, way more, what's the right word, way better than the UD Lanzarote team. The match was played in Tias, and it sounds like it was an absolute epic. For people who know football, if I tell you that at 75 minutes, the score was Santander 4, Lanzarote 1. So a lot of people would have written the game off at that point. But Lanzarote managed to score twice in 5 minutes. So by minute 80, the score was 4-3. And by all accounts, the last 10 minutes of the game were very, very tense as UD Lanzarote were pushing really, really hard to try and get that extra goal to level the score. Sadly, they didn't. So they are now out of the Copa del Rey, but they were able to hold their heads high at the end of it for a brilliant, brilliant performance against much better opposition. Now, I mentioned in previous bulletins that we are having 2 new cruise terminals built in Arrecife. The first one is a small one, which has been built at Puerto de los Marmeles, the port of the marbles, and that's the port kind of as you face out to sea, more over to the left of Arrecife. That new smaller terminal has now been completed, and the first ship to use that terminal docked this week. It was Mein Schiff 7, which is a TUI-owned cruise ship which carries predominantly German and Austrian passengers, and they use that new smaller terminal for the first time this week. There is a larger terminal also being built at Puerto Neos, which is still in construction, so that's not in use yet, but that will allow for the first time passengers to embark and disembark in Lanzarote. At the moment, we don't have the facilities to handle their luggage and their immigration and all that kind of stuff. But when the new terminal is built, it will be possible to do so. And I know that Arrecife are talking to some of the larger cruise lines about us becoming a hub, a start off and finish point for cruises around the Canaries in the way that, Barcelona is, for example, in the Med. I'll keep you posted on that. Now, there are a series of bus strikes planned for November and December on the island. Before everyone starts to get very worried about this, there are two things I want to say about these. The first is that the bus service is considered an essential service in the Canaries by the Canarian government. Therefore, even when there is a strike, there has to be a minimum of 80% of the normal service. And the second thing I would say is that in these situations where a strike is called, probably 8 times out of 10, an agreement is reached before the strike days actually arrive. So if we keep our fingers crossed, this may not be an issue at all. But I will give you the dates of the planned strike in case it affects your visit to the island and if you use the buses while you're here. They are due to take place on 3 days in November, and the first is the 11th. And then there are 2 days on the 28th and 29th. So that's 11th, 28th and 29th of November. And also 3 days in December, currently planned for the 5th, the 9th and the 23rd. So the 5th, the 9th and 23rd of December. But just as a reminder, there will be a minimum 80% service, and the actual strike action by drivers will only take place between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. in the evening. For those who want to know, the strike is around retirement age, and bus drivers are striking to have an adjustment made so that they can actually retire from work a little bit earlier. Now, once again, this is the point at which I remind you, please, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our channel. We produce these news videos every Saturday morning and they go out onto our YouTube channel. And if you're subscribed, you'll get a little notification to tell you that, hey, the new one's there if you want to find out what's going on in Lanzarote. Also, if you like this video, please give us a like. We really appreciate it. And if you have a question or a comment or feedback or anything you want to say, let me know in the comments below. And I read every single one of those. And if there's ever a question, I will do my very best to answer it for you. Thank you. And next up, we're going to talk about Open Mall, which you may know is the large shopping centre in Arrecife, and it is the biggest shopping centre on the island. Now, anybody who's been there will know that there used to be a big Ipretino supermarket to one side of it, and over the last few months, that supermarket, that old building, has been demolished. Well, it's now been announced that that's going to be phase 2 of Open Mall. So they are going to start construction on phase 2 there in the next few weeks. And once that's up and running, it will just be an extension of the main Open Mall shopping centre. And obviously that will give us yet more shops and things to look at over there. I've got my fingers crossed there's going to be an Apple shop in there, but I haven't heard anything. And talking of expansion at Open Mall, we also have a record for employment, or the working population on the island, and that reached just under 70,000 people who are either employed or self-employed in Lanzarote, which is a historic record number. And finally, Lanzarote has embraced the Christmas market idea, and we've had sort of a couple of attempts over the last few years at a bit of a Christmas market down in Arrecife on the front by the castle at the end of Calle León y Castillo, but this year Teguise have decided they're going to have 2 specific Christmas markets. The first is going to take place in Teguise itself, the 5th to the 8th of December, and the second will be in Costa Teguise on the promenade at Playa Las Cucharas, the Las Cucharas beach there, and that will be the 12th to the 15th of December. So Christmas markets, Teguise, 5th to 8th of December, Costa Teguise, 12th to the 15th of December. So we'll certainly be going along to those, and we'll shoot some videos so you can see what it's like. We're only in November, I know, but I'm already starting to get excited about Christmas. We've had a few Christmases away off the island, but this year we are going to be here, and we've got family and friends joining us at home, so I think we'll have a good time. And Christmas in Lanzarote, I have to say, is still magical. So that's it on the news front. Let's talk now about the three things I think you should be doing if you're on the island next week. And the first of those events is on the 3rd of November. So that's going to be Sunday, the 3rd of November. And that is a Diwali event. And Lanzarote has a sizable Indian community, and the Indian community are very active in doing stuff for both their own community, but also welcoming people from outside the Indian community to join in with whatever they're doing. And this Diwali event is taking place at the Tele Club in Macha. And it's, as I say, on the 3rd of November. It starts at 1 o'clock, and I'm looking down at my notes here, but it will include typical Indian and South Indian food for sale. There's going to be a stage show, there's going to be Bollywood dancing, and also a lucky draw. So if you fancy a bit of Indian food, this event charges only a €6 entry, so you'll be able to try some Indian food at Teleclub Matcha and enjoy some Bollywood dancing, and it just sounds like it's going to be a fun day. Now this next one is on Monday, November the 4th, and it's in Puerto del Carmen, and it's quite a regular event they do there called Cheese, Wine and Sax, and I think it's a really, really clever title. But it's in the square which is called La Golosa, which is kind of faces the Hotel Farallones, so it's in that bit where the Soco shopping centre is, for example. So if you stand at the front door of the Farallones and look straight ahead of you, you'll see this little square called La Golosa, and what they have there is this regular event that starts at 4 p.m, runs till 5:30. This is on Monday the 4th of November, and they will have a saxophonist there playing saxophone music, as you can imagine, and for, I think it's €15. I'm just going to check the price. Yes, no, it just says it includes. I don't see a price. Yes, I do. Right. Okay. Yes, it's €15. Sorry about that. I'm going to leave that in. I could edit it out, but why not? I'm doing this kind of semi-live for you this morning. So €15, that includes a platter of cheese and a glass of wine. And obviously you can buy more wine because the first one will go down very quickly. Just sounds like a pretty cool thing to do with sax music going on in the background, eating cheese and wine. In fact, I can't think of many things better. Can you? And finally, this next event is taking place at Sisi Almacén in Arrecife, which was the building Manrique created for artists to show their work and for musicians to play their music. And this is a tango event, and this really intrigues me. So it's, as I said before, the 8th of November takes place at 8 o'clock at Sisi Almacén. Now, tango, a lot of people ask me about tango. Of course, tango isn't actually, or doesn't have its origins in Spain. It comes from South America, from Argentina and Uruguay predominantly. And this event is by a group called Ensemble Tango Lanzarote. Now, I said ensemble with a kind of French accent because that's how it sits in my head. But in Spanish, it's ensamble, E-N-S-A-M-B-L-E. But it's a group that plays music and dances in the traditional South American tango style. And it looks quite an exciting thing to go and enjoy. We have a pianist, a violinist, double bass player, and of course a guitar player, and then you've got dancers that will dance the tango for you. So that is on the 8th of November at 8 o'clock, and I think I'm going to go and talk to Julie in a minute. Entry is only €5. If we're available, I would certainly like to go and watch that because I've seen some tango before and I find it very moving and fabulous to watch. Well, that's it. It's a delight to be back home in Lanzarote. The sun is shining, the sky is blue. I'm now going to enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate every single view we get on this channel. And we'll be back the same time next week, Saturday morning. Bye for now.